Right. Okay, so today what we're going to go over is how to create a Google form to collect emails for your email list, as well as you can use this Google form for collecting any other things. But for this purpose, for the purpose of this video, we're just going to look into creating and collecting an email list. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to be into our Google, and then there's two ways you can get there from a just general Google search. You can get to Google Forms. It'll pop up, you click, and then you're right into the forms creation site. You can ignore these sections because these are forms I've already created before, but what you'll see is just this blank template at the top where you can create a blank form. There's different types of templates that they have that you can scroll through and see. But that's just what the general look of the forms will look like. So once you start creating forms, you'll be able to go back and see all the ones you've done previously. And then another way to get there is through your apps on your Google account. And so you'll just click Google Apps, you'll go down to Forms, and it pops right up. Just either which way you can get there. And it'll take you right to what you are looking for. So what we're going to do is, I don't really need a template because what we're doing for an email list is pretty simple and straightforward. So we're just going to create a blank form. So once you click blank form, this is kind of what that page is going to look like. And so to get started, I want it to say CCD email sign up. So that's the title, and I always recommend at least have the title say your farm name and then this email sign up to collect emails. So the participants or your customers, whoever it is, knows what they are signing up for potentially. You don't have to add a description, but this is to sign up for our email newsletter. Again, don't have to add, but it just helps add a little bit more context to what this form is for. Okay, so now we're going to get into the questions. You can add as many or as little as you like, but if anything you're going to ask, you definitely want to ask for an email address and a name. So we're going to start off with first name. Then we'll go over here to this little plus icon. We're going to do last name. Then one more time, we're going to add another one, and this is going to be email address. Great. Okay, and as you saw, when I was typing in the question, they kind of changed from, I'll just add one more to show, multiple choice. This is kind of the default, is multiple choice will be when you start asking questions. But what you can do, if you don't like the short answer and you're wanting a little bit different, is click back on your question, and you're going to click over here, and it's going to give different types of questions you can ask, which is short answer, paragraph, multiple choice, checkbox. If you got a drop down of her options, you can just ask different things in that regard. So you can change it up if you don't like what Google suggested, but as you type in stuff, Google will kind of give their own suggestions as to what kind of question they think you are asking. And for this purpose, short answer text is what we're looking for. All right, and there's a lot more you can do with these questions, like add in some images. You can also add in video if you want, but for the purpose of this, there's really no reason to add some of that in here. And then another thing we want to note is this required button down here, this toggle. So for first name, I do want people to be required to put in their first name, and then especially required to put in that email address. That's the whole purpose of this, is we're getting their emails. So you definitely want them to be required to put in the email address. So you'll just make sure that those are toggled, and once it's done, you'll see that this little red dot, that went away. But that red star right there came up. So that just denotes that this is a required response. You cannot submit until you have filled in information there. Okay, cool. So this email sign up, it's good to go. I've got the information I want. I just want first name for sure, an email address for sure, and then last name is an optional kind of thing. And what you could even do is list it as optional if they want, but those red notes denote what you actually need. And then this will just denote the option. Great. All right. So once you've got that questions kind of set up already, you're going to then go to responses just to see what it looks like. So, I just made this, so there's obviously not going to be any responses just yet. So it says no responses, publish your form to start accepting. But one thing I want to highlight is once you start getting responses, they will start to come through here and be listed down. And another way that you can collect them is linking this form to Google's version of Excel, which they call it Sheets. So we're going to say, call this email sign up. We're going to create a new spreadsheet and we're going to hit create. And then it's going to pop up into another tab. And Google, again, Google's form of Excel is called Google Sheets. And it will collect all that information for you once those people start putting in their responses. So timestamp, when they submitted, their first name, last name, if they put it, and then their email address. So that'll all collect into one spreadsheet. So it's easy for you to access. You don't kind of have to parse through it or anything. It's all just into one document, which also makes it really easy for you when you start sending your emails to just copy and paste those into whatever email service you are using. I'm going to exit back. So we are back into that form that we just created. And so now what we'll do is I want to preview it. I just want to take a look at it to make sure that if I am the customer wanting to sign up, that it makes sense to me. So we're going to hit that little preview sign again. It's just this I look right here that says preview. And we are in preview mode. So I can see what it looks like for anyone who has the link and has gone to it. So again, it indicates there's a required question, first name, and your email address is required. And then we have the description. This is a CCD email sign up. And this says this is to sign up for our email newsletter. Again, this notes it's not published. This form isn't accepting responses. You're just in preview mode, making sure that it looks okay and that you can send it out and people will know what you are looking for. Okay, we're going to exit back out of that. Okay, so now at this point, I'm comfortable. I like how it looks. I think it's pretty simple. I am ready to publish this so I can start getting responses. So you're going to go back up to this tab that says publish and publish form. So responders. Right now it has anyone in the University of Kentucky. Well, that's just because my accountant's through UK. So I'm going to hit manage because I don't want just University of Kentucky people to be able to respond. I want anyone to be able to respond. So we're going to go down and we're going to hit responder view. And I'm going to say anyone with the link. So anyone who has scanned that link, has the link, they can respond. Just like it says, anyone on the internet with the link can respond. Another way to share the link too, especially if you have someone who might be helping manage some of your social media accounts, your emails, etc., is for on editor view. So right here, it's restricted. It says only people with access can open the link. And what I might do is click University of Kentucky if, someone that works within the same group as me wants to be able to edit this document. So I would hit University of Kentucky. And like it says, anyone in this group with the link can edit. And edit means they can just edit that whole email sign up form. So just, be aware of that. If you need to be able to share that with someone else besides yourself, make sure the editor view is also selected as someone within your group, anyone with the link, remove link, just things like that. So we're going to go back to restricted just because it's just me on here doing this. So publish the form to accept responses. That's popping up saying, are you ready to go? So responder view, anyone with the link is able to respond. We're going to hit done, publish form, responders, anyone with the link, and publish. Great. So how do you know it's published? Oh, well, right here, it says published. So then what you'll do once you're ready to start sharing this with things, either creating a QR code, putting it on your website, putting it on your Facebook, whatever it is that you're ready to start sharing people to sign up, is you're going to copy the responder link. So we're going to hit copy and it creates this long link right here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to shorten the URL. There's really no reason that I do it. It's just I prefer it to be a smaller link, especially it sometimes looks a little bit better if you're just sending it via an email to someone else. But there's no rhyme or reason as to you have to do the shortened URL or not. So I shortened the URL. Now I'm ready to copy it. Okay, so it says copy to my clipboard. And now what I want to do, because the intention of this now is to have a QR code that links directly to this form for people to use. So I'm going to go QR code generator. And I have used this QR code generator before. It's the first one that pops up. And I want to create a custom QR code. I have a URL and I'm pasting that into the generator and it pops up over here. There's some different things you can do. There's some frames you can add down here. Scan me. You don't have to do this. It's just an option. These blue ones that are highlighted, you do have to pay for, but there are a few that are free. But for this purpose, I don't really feel that there is a need to have a frame, so I'm not going to put that in there. But so that's the QR code. It is ready to go, ready to be shared. And I'm going to hit download. And it is generating my QR code. And it's going to turn it into, I believe, a JPEG, a PNG. So and boom. So we have our QR code and now you're able to save it. You could hit save as, I'll just put this onto my desktop and say email sign up QR code. Okay. But now that we have it, I want to test it to make sure that I'm getting responses. Make sure that QR code works. So behind the scenes, which I'll insert a screen recording here, but behind the scenes, I'm taking my phone and I'm going to scan this QR code. All right, to make sure it works. And you're going to have to trust me on this because right now you can't see it, but yes, it does work. So I am CCD email sign up. So I'm going to put in my first name. I'm going to put in my last name because I want to. You don't have to, but I want to. And then I'm going to put in my email address because it's required. Can't submit it if I don't have it in there. Hit submit. Okay, so for me on my end, I see it says CCD email sign up. Your response has been recorded. Okay, we're going to stop my screen recording. Now we're going to come back to this computer. So I'm going to put that down. Okay, and we're going to go back and oh, I see I have a response. So we're going to go to this response and here it says summary. You can look at the questions and then you can look at individual. But anyways, this is the summary of the response. So I just put it in there. I said, I'm wanting to sign up for the email list. Here's all my information for you to put me on that list. Then when we go into our email sheets, it'll show us the timestamp of when I requested it, the information I have plugged in, Camille Stevens, and then my email address. And like I said, you can just easily copy and paste that into whatever email you are using, whether that's Constant Contact, MailChimp, or you're just sending out emails through your just general email is how you do it. But that is how you can create that email sign-up list through Google Forms, just to make it a little bit more streamlined. Sometimes I find it a little bit easier to do Google Forms because doing the pen and paper, when you finally sit down, people, some people, their handwriting is really easy to figure out. Some people it's not, especially when people have like underscores or periods throughout their email. It's kind of hard to tell, like, was that intended? Is that a mistake? This just makes it a little bit more streamlined of, they put in their email address exactly how it's supposed to be. It should be correct, versus when it's the pen and paper and they're writing it down. It's kind of like, what is this letter? What is this symbol? I'm not 100% sure. I might not be putting in the correct email versus here, more than likely that email is probably going to be correct because you're able to see, all those things that they're adding. But yeah. So that is just how to create a Google form to collect email addresses and everything. And you can always change this if something comes up that you want to add another thing to. If you want to add a cell phone number, if you start doing text questions, I see a lot of people with CSAs do that. You can go back in and add another question. Looking for phone number. And then you can move, like I said, you can move them around to be anywhere throughout the questions. It's not moving, but it's fine. But you can move them around anywhere throughout to kind of have a different flow. But yes, this is just how we do the email sign up here and make it a little bit more streamlined, creating that QR code so they can easily sign up via email, via their phone and not have to deal with pen and paper, potentially losing your sheet or anything between the transition of farmer's market or wherever you're selling back home and you're ready to put that in. Um, so yeah, and that's just how you set up your email list on Google Forms and create a QR code with it. Hope this helps. Thank you.